May, yeah, yeah, apparently. All right. So I guess today I'm gonna be chilling because I don't have a set game to play. Unfortunately, I've been looking for the day before for a while. Like it should have came out, didn't come out, got pushed back. They want Unreal Engine 5. I feel like it's a whole bunch of excuses, and it might not be, but you know what I'm saying. Like with the Bros, I honestly feel like this game is gonna flop. I feel like it's gonna flop hard. I don't I don't know if it'll be another cyberpunk type flop, but I definitely think it'll be a flop. Um, just watching like past trailers and whatnot, it's just looking less and less likely for a game to to be it. Like a lot of these zombie games in general, in my opinion, die down because it'll be like a lack of content, like a playthrough, just like a whole bunch of lack of stuff. You know what I mean? It's like my opinions when it comes to developers in today's time is like, you give us the graphics and all this type of stuff, but you're not giving us more. Like you can't give us less. And what I mean by giving us less is when a game comes out, whether it's a fighting game, adventure game, or whatever, they always have a lack of content. How do you have a lack of content? You know what I mean? Like all of this stuff should already be, you should already know how to create a good game. I don't like, and maybe it's the whole corporate aspect coming in. Don't give them everything, and you know what I mean. We'll make a whole game, then chop it up and give them DLC because I know some of them do that. But even still, then when you're playing a game like that, your game can and will die if you don't have the right content or enough content. For example, like Division One, when Division One came out, like everybody was excited and whatnot. You grind Division, you pretty much maxed out. Then it was like, now what? And they took forever to drop content. But even when they drop content, that content is still so small. It's like, what? I waited all this time for this. It's just so bad. And I honestly believe that, you know what I mean, this game is probably going to follow suit. Like, you have to have a lot of content, not no like repetitive content. I mean, a lot of content in today's time because, you know what I mean, we just want more. Like, it's so weird to me. I don't understand how developers don't understand that. That boy slapped that in the snuck in here on me. I just don't understand how like developers don't understand that when you got a fighting game, for example, you know what I mean? Like multiverses, I feel like are taking the right way because they already had characters and whatnot, and literally a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks after the game they came out, I say like a week and a half or whatever. You throw LeBron James out there, you already had him, but now you're putting him as DLC. People want that. I don't feel like that's a bad move that they probably have the content. They're just going to slowly put out the content and keep people playing. They already introduced Rick and Morty. Both of them are going to be separate characters from what I was told. So you throw out LeBron James, give people a little bit to get used to him and stuff like that. Then you throw out Rick or Morty, give them some time to play. Yeah, give them a little bit, give them little by little, give them the content little by little, but have enough content. You know what I mean? Have enough content, and like a fighting game compared to this is going to be different because you can have fighting tournaments and all this type of stuff. A game like this has no esports scene whatsoever. Yeah, drop too much fast, people get bored. Yep. You drop it too fast, people going to play through it, burn through it, because you got some grinders out there. Play through it, burn through it, and be over with it, or be done with it. You know what I mean? If you release it bit by bit, but enough, then you'll be good. I think this game, if they do something like that, where they where they have enough content, because it got to be more than just maxing out and just I'm just surviving. I will personally stop playing the game 1,000%. But I want to see what this guy talking about. Let's see what he's saying.
Has been Steam's #1 most wish-listed game, which is kind of insane when you consider that it's a brand new IP coming from a fairly unknown developer. Fantastic is a studio that up until recently had only ever made small early access indie titles that they abandoned and a mobile game.
And this goes back to what I was saying. I'm like, when it comes to like these studios and whatnot, like they have small games and whatnot, and I think Prop Hunt or Ghost Hunt, whatever it is, being their biggest game, and they probably just pushed the game back because you know that they're real hesitant and afraid of
Most
what's going to
recent
happen.
news, Prop Night isn't doing particularly hot at the moment either. So
And I don't expect Prop Night to just be fully thriving. Like you can only do so much on that game. Like no, who's maining that game? You know what I mean?
for them to all of a sudden have a game in development that more people want than any other upcoming game on Steam, it's kind of crazy. Currently, more people are interested in The Day Before than A Plague Tale Requiem, Arc Raiders, Nightingale, Marvel's Spider-Man, Modern Warfare 2, Stalker 2, even Starfield, a brand new zombie game from an unknown developer. More people are interested in that than in Starfield. Now, that could be an argument for where Starfield's at. I think it's clearly a testament to how much desire still exists for the zombie survival genre that's been unfulfilled within the gaming community, but also how much
I'll put the volume up. I got you. I'll put it all the way up. Let me know how it is right now.
gameplay trailers with decent looking graphics can really sell the idea of a game to people. But I beg of you, as much as you may want this to be an amazing next-gen zombie survival PvP MMO, which is what they're calling it, please temper your expectations. The red flags are so numerous.
All I'm trying to say is you need to tell Vic to come watch this video that I'm watching, because this guy is probably gonna say everything that I've already said. I don't even know if I watched this video or not, but I don't think I did. But maybe I did. I can't remember. But no, July 16th. No, I don't think I watched this video. Nah. But this guy, he to the red flags. Let's see.
Of the number of concerning issues around this game and around its developer, but I don't know, let's try adding them up, shall we? Starting with the developer. These are the people who are making the game, so goes without saying that their history is a fairly important thing to consider. Fntastic is a studio that was founded back in 2015 by two brothers who, according to their mission statement, dreamed of creating a global organization that would work on world-class games. With that objective in mind, they began work on their very first title, The Wild 8. The Wild 8 was a top-down survival action game.
Honestly, it really don't look bad. Not gonna lie. Doesn't look bad at all.
Set in the frozen wilderness of Alaska. Players could go around gathering resources.
So it's a PvP survival game, top down. I like top down games a lot.
Building, crafting, it was the standard survival shtick. Now, initial reception was fairly positive, with the game scoring some decent
Where's the butt at?
First entered early
Where's the butt?
access in February 2017.
Where's the
However,
butt?
things turned south very quickly. Shortly after the early access launch, Fntastic sold the rights to the game to their publisher. Why? Well, according to them, we sold The Wild 8 to our publisher. This decision was very hard for us because our team was hoping to always evolve the game. The Wild 8 is our debut project. It brought us first success and valuable experience, but nevertheless, because of internal conflict with partners within the company, we had to sell the project to the publisher. We will always love The Wild 8. It's in our hearts. So
I'm trying to figure out, what does that mean? Does that mean that maybe they wanted to add some type of in-game buy system and they were like, nah, what does that mean?
The explanation that they gave for why they had to sell The Wild 8 just a few months after it entered early access was due to internal conflict with partners within the company, whatever that means, and why ever that would mean they would have to sell the rights to their game. Or it could be, and hear me out here, it could be due to the fact that just a couple months after the early access launch, the player base had already dropped down to an average of just 100 concurrent players. So, after collecting the money from the game's initial sales and realizing that the game really wasn't going anywhere, they decided it was best to just stop supporting it altogether, get a little bit more extra cash by selling its rights, and then just move on to their next thing, which was Dead Dozen.
They pretty much finesse. That game didn't look bad. Maybe they didn't promote it. I don't think I've ever heard of that game. They said it was in 2017 though. I didn't have a PC, and I don't necessarily feel like in 2017 a lot of PC gamers were really looking for games like this. I feel like PC games kind of started booming maybe a little bit more like around 2020-ish. You know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it. I say that because that's when I got my PC, and then I feel like everybody who was looking for the new consoles couldn't get one. So then people was like, let me go to the next best thing. Fuck it. I can't get the new Xbox or the new PS5. Let me get a PC. Like I think Zava has only been on PC for like a year and a half, 2 years. I've been on a PC for like a year and a half. Fucking fam done got a PC. Let's go the whole gang done got a PC. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the whole gang done got a PC. 2020 and before, you know what I'm saying? Like we had Xboxes. Everybody just switched up. Like officially, like I had a PC like what 2015, 2016ish, but my PC wasn't like popping like that. So then I came back to console, still got that PC to this day.
A first-person multiplayer horror game where players in teams of 4
This actually looks good. Let's see.
would try to survive the depths of a mysterious pyramid infested with ghouls. Dead Dozen released into Steam Early Access on March 7th, 2018. This was just 1 year after the early access release of their prior title, and it was less than 6 months after they sold it off. However, unlike the Wild 8, this game didn't even start on a positive note, getting mostly negative reviews for being full of bugs, having poor performance, constant crashes, and, well, just not being particularly good. The player count peaked on launch day at 81 concurrent players, and it was down to 14 players just 1 week later. So what did Fntastic do when their second attempt at making a game immediately bombed? Well, you guessed it. They abandoned ship. In June 2018, a mere 3 months after their early access launch.
All right, so check me out. Hear me out before this video continues, right? So the upside to what they have now is demand, pretty much. Like in comparison to the other games, they have demand. Those other games, like he said, the day before right now is #1 on everybody's wish list. So you have the numbers. You just got to not drop the ball, pretty much. You see what I'm saying? Like this game clearly didn't have the numbers. The last game pretty much dwindled down into like, you know, people that actually like the game versus like the hype train. Like I hate when people give day one numbers and like, yeah, this is it. No, bro, everybody's playing the game because of hype. You can't even count that. Count that shit like 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later. Like it doesn't make any sense. But we'll see.
They posted this announcement. We apologize for the lull that has been lately. It's time to take stock of the development of Dead Dozen because from today we stop supporting the game. Why?
You know what though? At least they being honest though. Yeah, like they're putting out games. They know what to do. You know what I mean? But at least they're being upfront and being honest though about, you know what I'm saying, like what they got going on and stuff.
Let's take a look at the situation in
I don't feel like that's
detail.
bad. I feel like that's fair.
A pie chart, which as you can clearly see, tells us absolutely nothing in detail at all. And then they went on to say, unfortunately, the budget ended on April 1st. Of course it ended on April Fool's Day. We were not able to realize much of what we were planning. There are still small bugs and not enough content. But even if we stayed on the development of this project, we must admit that we cannot solve the problem of low online in a short time without changing the core of the game. This could not be done either by Cliff Bleszinski or Paragon with their colossal resources and huge team. So their budget was up, and if Cliff Bleszinski couldn't save Paragon, there ain't no way that Fntastic is going to be saving the Dead Dozen. They did, however, keep...
I think I think their player base ended up dwindling, but it's coming back. You know what I'm saying? New name, probably new developers or whatever. It's crazy because on Steam, they actually have a free version of it, like pretty much down to the T. And I was playing with Zava the other day, and he was saying that they sold the IP or they sold something, so pretty much anybody can really recreate Paragon or something like that. So I'm like, damn, that's crazy.
Keep the game live and available for purchase for a few more years up until recently in October 2021 when it was finally removed from Steam. Oh, and a fun little side note about Dead Dozen here. On the About page on Fntastic's website where they detail their history as a studio, there is a noticeable gap in the timeline where Dead Dozen should be. They just don't even mention having ever made the game, which, you know, I don't blame them. It was pretty awful and basically nobody played it. Hey, I mean, geez, I'm tempted to delete 90% of my back catalog here on YouTube, but you know what? No, it's part of my journey. bad videos and all. So for those of you keeping track at home, in the span of 18 months, just a year and a half, they released 2 games into early access, collected the money for both of them, and then abandoned both of them. On to the next thing. 1 month after halting development on Dead Dozen, they released Radiant One, a story-driven adventure game for mobile devices. Not a whole lot to say here. It's a phone game, and apparently, according to reviews, it's only 20 to 30 minutes long, so let's just say it's a relatively small-scale experience. Now, we fast forward a few years to December 2021. During a live stream event for their highly anticipated
Now it's about to get good.
title the day before, Fntastic also revealed and released a surprise new game. It's called Prop Night. They had evidently been developing this simultaneously with the work they were doing on the day before. And to put it simply, it is a hybrid of Prop Hunt and Dead by Daylight. So how is the game done, you may be wondering? Well, currently, Prop Night has a mixed rating on Steam, with some recent reviews saying the game is struggling, is full of bugs. Others said that it even has more bugs now and even worse bugs than it did at launch, that the game is poorly balanced, and that as of recently, because the population has dropped so low, people are reportedly waiting up to 10 minutes to get into a single match. According to SteamDB, the daily concurrent count of players right now hovers between 200 and 400, which isn't completely dead, but it is certainly not thriving, and is a far cry from the nearly 5,000 all-time.
I just don't think none of these type of games will survive without some other game mode. I think Call of Duty has like a prop hunt mode or whatever, and it's Call of Duty, like the name carries itself. You know what I mean? So like for a game to just thrive on prop hunt alone, I'm just like I don't really see it booming like that. No one really wants to, like, that's my thing. Who's maining a prop hunt game? There might be a leaderboard for it. I don't know. I've never played it. It looks fun, but in terms of like, you know what I'm saying, like the bros or whatever, like, oh y'all, let's play this prop hunt game. We're gonna play it one night, maybe play it 2 nights, and then be done with it. Probably never play it again. You know what I mean? People don't, I don't know. Like, again, prop hunt is going to be hot if you got more game modes and stuff like that. And like, I get it. This is like a mesh of games, like 2 different types of games, prop hunt and the Dead by Daylight, you know what I'm saying, theme. But you need more than that to carry whatever's going on with the game.
Credit, though, they have continued to update the game. It's still getting new patches. They're even doing a visual overhaul. Although I do wonder if this would still be the case if they didn't have the spotlight that they now have on them because of the anticipation for the day before. I mean, there's no way to know for sure, but if their history was any indication, there's a chance that this game could have also joined the abandoned pile. But, you know, so just to recap here, to date, Fntastic's track record looks like this. February 2017, they released the Wild 8 into early access. Later that year, they sell the game's rights, cashing out, and move on to their next.
Then another thing, like he said, early access. That I still don't feel like early access mean games are done. I don't feel like early access mean games are done. I still feel like early access to me is still like, you know what I mean? Early access, like, you know, it's gonna have bugs and all this extra stuff. You know what I mean? It's literally early access.
Project, that project being Dead Dozen, which they released into early access a year later in March 2018. The game completely flops, and then 3 months later,
they could have did something with this game, though. I really feel like they could have did something with this game. Yeah, bugs are expecting, and that's the thing, Slap. I'm like, you know, say it's an early access game, and people still, this game got bugs, bro. I swear, gamers piss me off sometimes, bro. Gamers piss me the fuck off. Like, if you're downloading an early access game and you think this is the finished product, you are an idiot. Plain and simple. Like, plain and simple. Early access. It's telling you early access. What are you expecting?
They halt any further development. A month after that, they released the Radiant One, a 20 to 30 minute phone game. Then in 2021, they released Prop Night. Currently, that's averaging around 300 players and has mixed ratings on Steam. So that has set the stage. Now you know the background. And
I also feel like on the flip side, like games like Prop Hunt, if someone is maining a game like that, it's probably going to be kids. You know what I mean? Like just like casuals, you know what I mean? Like straight casual gamers. I'm talking about like, you know, the girl that doesn't game, the guy that's too busy to really game like that, hop on the game with, you know, some of his friends to just play a chill game, or kids. Like I don't see them being tryhards by any means. So like Prop Hunt would be like a good starter game for somebody. Like, oh yeah, I used to play Prop Hunt, and it kind of like opens the door to get into more or different types of games. So
the history of the developer, of the people making the game that everyone's looking forward to the day before. Now let's talk specifically about the day before. This was first announced in January 2021 as an open world survival MMO set in a deadly post.
hold on, was it 2021? I remember Vic said something, and it was supposed to come out January, February, March, April, May. It was supposed to come out within like the second quarter or something like that, and then it didn't. And then it got pushed back to this year, and then it got pushed back. It was June. It was June. So yeah, you found this, and then so that's I guess they announced it the same year. Then it was supposed to come out in June. Then it got pushed back. It's supposed to come out this year. Now it got pushed back. Like, bro. And like maybe, and again, like we really want this game, but maybe they're really trying to make this succeed though, high key. You know what I mean? Like, I would much rather somebody keep pushing it back. December this year? You sure December? I might look that up.
America that has been overrun by flesh-hungry infected. The game was said to be set in a huge, detailed open world with large cities and towns, mountains and
I think it was
forests,
2-3.
all of which are
I think it was
full of
2-3.
homes and stores and skyscrapers and various other buildings and places that could be explored and looted.
Like look at the like. That's what I'm saying. Like, it looks nice, bro. It looks nice. It looks nice. Like, again, when you do these type of games, you got to go back to Division. Division looked good. Lack of content. The gunplay was good. I feel like they did have some balancing issues with the weapons. I think they should have had like the TTK a lot higher and a lot of stuff. I don't know. Like, Division was pretty cool. Like I said, when it came out, but they could have done a lot more. And I didn't play Division 2 because Division 1 let me down so bad. I was like, there's no way I'm getting Division 2.
We'll have to scavenge for.
And like, this looks real. You know what I mean? Like, not real like IRL, but when I say real, like, we know fucking, you know, like you got on a hoodie, like that doesn't count as armor. You know what I'm saying? That's just straight up cosmetics. Like, you actually need a vest. You're saying this AK is gonna be the AK. You can't buff the weapon, like, you know what I mean?
For resources, tools.
Yeah, all the buffs and stuff like that, and the abilities and all this. Like, I can understand, like, you know what I'm saying, like popping a hill or something like that, but like, you know, you got flame rounds and stuff like that. Like, what?
And weapons to fend off the PvE threat of zombies, but also other players, as the game will have a PvP focus as well. There will be survivor colonies where we could go to trade, communicate, and team up with others. And they said that their goal with this game is to bring big innovation to the long stagnant survival MMO genre.
And they've made a survival game before, and I think that they're gonna need some type of it for it to work. Because other than that, there's no different from the DayZ. There's no different from the Ark. There's no different from a Rust. There's no different from I forget the other game, but there is no difference, bro. It's no difference. Like, these survival games to me, like, they're cool. What's the end game? What, like, let me see the content. What's the end game?
Genre.
People are gonna get tired of playing against AIs. You know what I mean? Like, people want a PvP. What does that, you know what I'm saying? What does that do for the game?
Immediately after this trailer came out, there was a ton of hype. The announcement trailer that was released by IGN has about 4.5 million views to date. And at the time, many people in the YouTube community expressed a lot of excitement and enthusiasm, which generally I am all about. Gaming, I mean, yeah, it's a hobby that's supposed to be fun after all, so why not? Let's get pumped. And that was my gut reaction here too. A new open world zombie survival MMO with PvP. The trailer had solid looking visuals, very reminiscent of like The Division and The Last of Us, which I liked.
Yeah, if it's evolving, that's different
good.
too.
And yet, at the same time, I felt like something was a bit off. And now, at first, I couldn't put my finger on exactly what it was, but something seemed kind of too good to be true.
You know what? Maybe if they take that boy Tehran Tebow, what up, brother? Maybe if they take a lesson from Tarkov, right? So let's say you got this, right, and you have these bosses in the game as well. That might do something for the game, but that's the content. You know what I'm saying? They're being challenged a new way to survive. Yeah, being challenged a new way to survive. Probably actually having some type of thing where you actually have to do a raid, not with just 6 people. I mean, I guess you could. You know what I'm saying? We over here just talking the shit. You know what I mean? Looking at some games.
It was at that point that I started digging into the developer's history and those first red flags began popping up, which if you've been following the video so far, now you are aware of all of those details as well. But even putting the developer's past works and their actions aside, something about that first trailer didn't seem honest. But I'm no developer, and I can only glean so much information from watching a trailer. Fortunately, some real-life game developers also raised some early concerns. These next couple of clips were taken from a video titled Developers React to the Day Before. In it, we see Chase Colazzi,
That's what I like. I like this right here. I like this. Developers reacting to other developers' work. That I like that. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Who are the devs? All I know is it was two Asian brothers that started it, and that was it.
Producer at Riot Games, and Walter Hochbrechner, who spent 23 years in the gaming industry working most for Spheroid Productions. Here are some of
Let's see what they got to say.
Is this in game?
The Day Before.
It is.
Oh my.
I'm getting very The Division vibes from this.
Wow.
And that's fair. That's fair. You take what other companies have done, and you expand on that. I feel like when you take lessons from these other companies that do things good, because like I said, the Division wasn't bad by any means, but you know, if I'm like, you know, if I want to make a game like this work, like, yeah, I'm gonna use Division as a reference point because it wasn't a bad game. It just lacked content, and after that, it lacked content for so long, I was up out of there. Like, I wasn't gonna get Division 2 because of what happened with Division 1, you know.
The shadows are incredible. The lighting is just excellent.
Told you,
Look at
show
this.
reflections.
Oh man.
In an MMO though, I'm skeptical.
How can they do that? I'm getting a feeling this has all been rendered. This is not.
I think it's more of a vertical slice on first impression.
Yeah.
A vertical slice, if you don't know, is this doesn't mean that the whole game is done and it looks like this. This is probably a section that they popped out, and we're able to develop and carve out and make certain things look final when they're not. That's what
I
happened
agree
with
with
Watch Dogs.
They pulling the EA. They're pulling the EA. They're pulling E motherfucking A. They're pulling the EA. Everybody knows, bro. He said, "Attack the fuck out of it, bro." Listen, everybody knows. They had a whole video. I think EA, matter of fact, flagged the guy video. He uploaded it. He had so many videos of EA showing us like, this is what you're getting, and then this is what we got. The Division, like, you know, so you see the guy walking around with his gun and whatnot, looking up, you see bullet holes, the light shining through the walls and stuff like that. We didn't get that on launch. Rainbow Six, a lot of the Rainbow Six stuff, we didn't get that on launch. I swear to goodness, I think I don't know, bro.
That's what happened with Cyberpunk.
That boy baked and popped their hair. You already know I'm gonna tag it.
Skeptical.
Now, their main takeaway here seems to be that this looks way too good for what the
Way too good to be
developer is
true.
calling it to be an open world MMO, and that this is either because
And look, and then this makes sense on why they will push this back to Unreal Engine 5 to try to get as close as they can to that.
A, it is just a vertical slice, a small section of the game that they made specifically for the trailer, or B, because it's all pre-rendered, aka it's not actual gameplay. Either of which seem very likely, but that second point is one that a lot of other people have picked up on since. In fact, every bit of gameplay that they've released so far seems like it's not actual gameplay, but rather is pre-scripted footage masquerading as gameplay.
Especially that scene right there with the cops pulling up and whatnot. Especially like, bro.
Also, it's all seemed very small in scale, with the environments being fairly closed off in a degree that makes it appear not to be open world at all, but I'll touch on that later. They
Lola
also
Cola.
made this point here.
Things are about to get heated.
Over here.
Here's the thing, and this is why I think it's pre-baked.
yeah.
See, that's supposed to be another player. Can we
Right.
go back? See the way they come in? It looks like it's an animated character that's not another player, but that means that those
Well, I
can't
mean,
actually be other players.
It could be. It could
Oh.
very well be. They have their own, AI players. They
to
could
move
be.
like that, they would
It would
have to
have
be
to be.
AI, because if it
Right.
was a real player, the animation wouldn't be that
Wouldn't be
smooth.
that
When you
smooth.
actually play a game, you're kind of jittery.
So based on the character's movement, they believe it's not very likely that it's actually a real player controlling the character as it is implied to be in the video. They specifically say there's there's more players coming, which again lends further credit to the idea that this entire trailer was just pre-baked. But let's go ahead and move on.
I would love
from
that.
first.
I would love to see more devs do that type of work. Like watch game trailers. That's why I hate cinematic trailers. Cinematic trailers they do nothing for me. They do absolutely nothing for me. You show me a cinematic trailer, bro, and I'm gonna be pissed because I'm like, what? Like if it's a game, I'm guaranteed like no matter what, like I'm gonna get like that's different. But even then, I still don't care about a cinematic trailer. I want to see gameplay. I want to see how people move. I want to see how the gun works. I want to see I want to see all of this stuff that, you know what I mean? Like, you know, these cinematic trailers are not going to show you. That's why I don't care about like Call of Duty games and stuff like that, because Call of Duty will make I'm talking about a prime time cinematic trailer and leave people hype. Oh my God, I can't wait for Call of Duty. Then you get the game and you're getting one shot by a pistol, bro. Like, what?
Initial trailer. In the following months, they released a few short clips, 20 to 30-second videos showing off various aspects and some areas in the game. And then in April, we got this countryside video. This was the longest bit of extended day before footage that we have seen so far. It opens up with a Jeep driving through some mud, arriving at a gas station where they had to stop due to a flat tire. They then get out and we get to see some combat as they fend off a few zombies, and then they search around for loot, eventually finding the materials needed to fix the flat tire. Pretty cool mechanic, honestly. With the Jeep in working order, they drive further down the road, arriving at a clearing with a farm in the distance. They sneak through the field, doing a bit of stealth.
It looks pretty
Into
good.
the house, failing to disarm an alarm system, then alerts
I think that's
a bunch
pretty
of
cool, too.
zombies. They fight them back, and at the end, we see what we are assuming to be a group of players arrive in a few vehicles, which force the duo into the bunker. This trailer, like the first one, was actually pretty impressive in a lot of ways. Although, also like the first one, I get the sense that it's not actually gameplay and is just pre-rendered. And you might be asking yourself, like, who cares, right? What's the point of...
What do you mean, who
harping
cares?
on
I
whether
care,
or not
what?
This is gameplay or pre-rendered, whether it is actually a player playing, it's still footage of the game, right? It's still stuff that's in engine. Well, frankly, the biggest issue that I have with seeing what seems to be pre-rendered fake gameplay is that they just don't want to show us the real in-action footage and what it looks like, because what the game actually looks like when it's running with real people playing probably won't look nearly this good, or it won't perform nearly as well, because you can fake great visuals with good performance by just not showing actual live gameplay and just rendering all your stuff within your engine. And that is the number one issue that I have with what we're seeing, is that it won't be at all representative of the final product once real people are in and playing the game. We've been hoodwinked by
The guy that did this, yeah. The guy that made this. Look at this, bro. Look at this. E3 2012 Final PC Ultra. Look at this. Look at the shadows. Yo, turn that down.
this time and time again with early quote gameplay trailers that look nothing like the final product, and I am fairly confident that that is also what we're getting here. And all of this is not even touching on the fact that everything that they've shown, it looks super linear and not even remotely open world. They are billing this as not only an open world game, but as an MMO, which the assumption there is that there are going to be a lot of people in an open world game. The only area that looked even relatively open was the field that they sneak through in this video, but even that seems like a pretty confined space with bordered by this tree line that appears to be impassable. If you go back and look at the intro, the driving on the road, look at those areas around the gas station with the fencing and those thick line of trees, it all looks clearly very confined with solid borders that you are not able to cross. This is all just judging from a trailer, but the layout of it, the appearance of it, seems to be mostly tight corridors that we are walking or driving through. And hey, you know what? Linear games are totally cool. I love them, but they're calling this an open world game and they're calling it an MMO. And from everything they've shown, I am not convinced that that's what they've actually made. So call it something else if it's something else. After this trailer, a few more months go by, and then in October, we get the release date trailer, which showed a bunch of short clips showing various in-game stuff. This was pretty jam-packed and was pretty good looking. We saw shots of a city and its downtown, of a countryside and forest. We got clips of what looked to be one of the social hubs with what I'm assuming is a lot of players hanging around. We see a group of players walking through the streets, taking on some zombies, and then exploring this insanely good looking, super highly detailed shopping mall. They also show off some player housing with this little home being upgraded and decorated. We see some weapon customization with a mounted gun having its attachments changed. This was a very, very good looking trailer. I mean, it looks amazing. And that was pretty much it for trailers and reveals for the day before. In between, there was a couple of other things like a 2-minute combat trailer where they showed some PvP in the streets, an NVIDIA RTX showcase video, as well as some screenshots and clips here and there. But beyond what they've shown of the game,
That mall looks insane.
more developments around the game. For one, the day before was originally set to release on June 21st of this year. However, 1 month prior, in May, they announced a delay, saying that they were changing engines from UE4 to UE5, and that the game would now be scheduled to release on March 1st, 2023. I've heard
March 1st,
conflicting
Vic.
reports about how easy or not it is to swap from one Unreal Engine version to another. Some people say it's fairly quick, like the snap of a finger. You push a button and everything's converted. Other people have said, and I've seen some people, industry people say, like developers say, seeing a last-minute engine swap like that announced 1 month before the original release date is a very, very bad sign and pretty foreboding for what's to come.
I'm trying to tell you. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's what I'm trying to tell you, boy. 1 month before it supposedly is coming out. Why is it so dark in here all of a sudden? What? My ring light on. Yeah, 1 month before the game comes out, they're like, "Oh, well, we gonna switch it." Like, what? I'd expect shit. No, hell no. No.
Also, and this is a strange
No, if it came out in early access, that's different. But they're completely swapping engines for whatever reason. You gotta think about it. They gotta have a reason. Like, oh, 1 month before release, let's switch engines. Like, why?
one. Not too long after announcing this delay, their official website randomly went offline. And I'm not talking about like for an afternoon. Their site was down for multiple weeks. It just directed you to this like login page. It was very, very strange. And I never saw it officially discussed as to why or how this happened. Not a big deal, just an interesting thing of note. But the most recent breaking news around this developer and their game is that they've been actively searching for unpaid help to work on the title.
He says they got light skin. Ooh.
Other tasks and activities. People volunteer for stuff all the time, right? Like unpaid interns, they are a thing, whether we consider that good or not. And also community built mods where people don't get paid are also a thing. This isn't some unheard of concept, but still, I feel like aware of the fact that this is the #1 most wishlisted game on Steam, not a good look that they're actively soliciting for people to work on this for free. You're gonna get free help on a game that's so highly anticipated and that's also an open world MMO.
I mean, I get it. Like, they probably don't have the budget to really pay everybody like that. So they're probably just trying to get anybody to come in to probably build up their portfolio. Again, they probably just don't have the money, which is probably, again, why it got pushed back. You know what I mean? Like,
MMO. What are the odds that that's going to be great work if it's people who are just able to work for free? This is not a common occurrence in the games industry. You have a big budget game like this that's the #1 most wishlisted game on Steam. You should be paying people, and that brings us up to the other concern. Why are
I feel like, I think like this though. Let's say he said finna be upset, but let's put it like this. Let's put this in perspective. Let's say if one of the bros came to me and was like, "Yo, Act, I got this project that I want to work on, and I know it's gonna be lucrative. We already got the numbers. All we need is the people, but we down bad right now because we don't have the funds." But when the game pops off, if we make this game how I envision it, we already got the numbers. If we put the work in, I will be able to compensate you, handsomely, or you know what I mean. I will be able to compensate you for the work that you put in. Granted, you're probably gonna have to get paperwork involved and all this type of stuff because if I'm technically working for free, then that's how you get hold in the end. You know what I mean? You hear about stories all the time, like the music industry, people signing deals and not signing deals and not getting writing credit and all this extra stuff. So it is a thin line to be on. And again, like, with one of the bros, I'm going to do it regardless, whether it's money involved or not, because I want to see all the bros prosper. But, you know what I mean? Some people you really can't trust like that. So,
Are they not paying people? Do they not have the funding? With the anticipation behind this title, one would assume that they could easily find investors and get.
I definitely think they can find investors
money so that they can pay the people working on it. I know being wishlisted itself doesn't.
Oh, this man called me light skin because I got a ring light.
should certainly
just thought
be
about
enough proof
that.
to get people
Check it
interested
out.
in spending money
The
on
ring
the
lighter.
project, in investing. And if they are having trouble getting funding for the game, I have to wonder if that's because what they are showing potential investors just isn't looking good. Unpaid help, volunteering for things in various aspects in and outside of gaming, it's a totally reasonable thing, but they should be paying people being so highly anticipated.
How can you even say that? They should be paying people because they're highly anticipated. That does not mean shit. You could still be broke. What does that even mean? What does that even mean? What does that even mean? Please let me know. You should be paying people because you're number one on everyone's wish list. Bro, we came up with a concept. We put things into action. That does not mean we're getting money because people put us on a wish list. People are not, I don't know about everybody else, but I got the shit on my wish list. But I'm not paying for the game yet. No. Like, what are you talking about? That makes no sense. Like, granted, this is what I'm saying. Just because you're number one on the wish list doesn't mean you got money. You can get investors probably off of that. I understand that part. So, yeah, that makes sense. If you have those investors, these are still indie developers at the end of the day. These are indie developers, not with no big studio or no big brand or whatever. If I was fighting black anime characters. Yeah, what about them?
And if they can't pay people, that is yet another red flag amongst a pile of red flags.
Maybe I'm just looking at
And
it from
wanna
different.
say
Maybe I just
we've
don't know
touched on a lot
enough.
of aspects. We've touched on the developer's history. We've touched on just some concerns with what they've shown of the game itself. But specifically,
Right, but that's the thing though. Okay, so Can is saying that they had people investigating their idea from a Kickstarter. No, these people don't have a Kickstarter. These people don't have a Kickstarter. Hiring devs is expensive, absolutely, especially when you have a portfolio, bro. If I done worked on A, B, and C, regardless if they're successful or not, I have the know-how. You're gonna have to break me off. It's just that simple.
when we look back at their prior games, I want to note that having made bad games in the past does not mean that they can't make a good game in the future.
I agree.
would say that Prop Night, if nothing else, at least seems somewhat competent. It does appear to be a functioning game that some people have derived some enjoyment out of. So they seem to have at least delivered that with their most recent release. But also remember that it has been less than a year and the game already sits at a mixed rating with a dwindling player base. But I think the real issue here isn't even the quality of the games that they've made so far, but their decision making and their actions around those games. Selling and then abandoning their first two titles almost immediately after their early act.
One thing about what this man is saying, like, I get it. I get what he's saying. But bro, that shit happened in 2015, 2017. You know what I mean? Early developers starting out, you don't know what to do. You think this is the best route. You can't hold it against them. Moving forward, they didn't do that with Prop Night, and he says it's because they're in the spotlight. Okay then. That's the first game that they didn't, you know what I'm saying, like full sell or abandon or whatever. They didn't do that. So move on from that. See this new trend. They're doing well with this new game that they put out. Let's move forward.
Access releases, hiding the fact that they've made certain games on their website. They even, I didn't mention this, but they deleted all of those games' trailers from their developer channel. It used to be full of trailers for Dead Dozen and
But okay, so if you sold the game or whatever to, what do you say, they sold the publisher or whatever, are they even allowed to have the game on their website still? That's what I don't know the ins and outs of that, but you know what I mean? Like, if I sold this to you and whatnot, and I don't own anything no more, why would I keep it up on my website? That's not me playing devil advocate. I just don't know the ins and outs, but I mean, I would assume so. If Vic was like, yeah, Tim, you sold this to me, yeah, you need to go ahead and take that down because I own it now. That makes sense to me.
Wild 8, they deleted all of those because they don't want to be associated with their prior work. And then most recently, the fact that they're actively searching for unpaid help while simultaneously being the most anticipated game on the largest PC platform. Just about every move that this developer has made since its inception in 2015 should leave us very skeptical on the likelihood that they will deliver and live up to the hype of being the most wishlisted game on Steam. I want a good next-gen open world survival zombie MMO as much of the rest of you. I still think it is a genre in gaming that has a lot more potential and well, just a lot more potential. There should be more games, more good games made in this genre. And I get the hype, but as good as you may think that these trailers have looked, even with all the issues that I've pointed out, as good as those trailers do generally look, if we were taking bets, I would not put any money on the day before delivery.
I'm
That's
trying to
what
tell
I'll
you.
say.
That's
gonna
what
do it
I
for
agree,
today's
though.
video. As always, thank you all so
Everything
much
he
for
said,
watching.
like I just disagree with probably like 2 things that he said. Everything else to me is, I don't know. I feel like it's on point. I personally don't feel like the game is going to deliver, just for the simple fact they keep pushing it back, and then it's an open world survivor. I don't even know if they're keeping people updated at this point with what's going on. I promise you I don't.